Before you skip this video, take a second and check your pocket change, because one small coin could be worth thousands of dollars. Yes, I'm talking about Jefferson nickels, coins that look ordinary, but hide extraordinary value. Yes, several Jefferson nickels have sold for significant amounts at auction, with high-end examples reaching thousands of dollars, particularly those with rare airs, special mint sets, or full steps F's, strikes. Here are some examples of Jefferson nickels that have sold for big money. 1964 SMS, Special Mint Set Jefferson Nickel. Considered the holy grail of Jefferson nickel collecting. Fewer than 40 examples are believed to exist. These matte finish proofs were never meant to be released to the public. High-grade examples, SP65, SP68, consistently bring high prices from $8,750 to $31,200 plus, and 1971S, no S proof. This is an error by omission, where proof nickels were struck in San Francisco but missed the S mint mark, have sold around $7,800 plus. These examples have clear your vision, but note that the prices for these coins vary significantly based on their grade condition and full steps designation. The highest prices are for coins certified by reputable services like PCGS or NGC. That means the coins sitting in your drawer right now could be worth way more than face value. In this video, I'm going to reveal the top 5 most wanted, rare, and highly valuable Jefferson nickels and show you exactly what to look for, so you don't accidentally spend a small fortune. Because once you see these details, you'll never look at nickels the same way again. So stay with me, and let's uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Bitcoin hunters and treasure seekers, to the channel where we uncover the jaw-dropping, mind-blowing secrets hiding inside the most overlooked pockets of American history. And today, we are ripping the veil off one of the most breathtakingly underrated coins ever struck at the United States Mint, a coin that experts are calling a sleeping giant. A coin that has sent seasoned numismatists into absolute frenzy at auction houses. Coast to coast, we are talking about the staggering, the sensational, the utterly electrifying 1948 Jefferson nickel. A 5-cent piece that looks ordinary at first glance but carries inside it a story so explosive, so packed with hidden value and shocking rarity, that collectors who ignored it for decades are now kicking themselves as prices climbed to stratospheric heights they never anticipated. Cast your mind back to 1948. America is fresh out of the brutal carnage of World War II. The economy is roaring back to life. Factories are humming. Servicemen are returning home to start families. And right in the middle of this post-Golden Dawn, the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints are cranking out Jefferson nickels by the tens of millions, with the Philadelphia mints striking an astonishing 89,348,000 coins. The Denver mint, adding another jaw-dropping 44,734,000. In San Francisco, the mint that always carried a certain mystique, a certain collector magnetism, producing a comparatively restrained 11,300,000 examples bearing that coveted S mint, and it is precisely that 1948S that sets the numismatic world on fire. Because low mintage in the post-war era combined with heavy circulation meant that Hegret survivors are vanishingly scarce, almost impossibly rare in pristine condition. And when a full steps example, those coins displaying razor-sharp, fully struck steps on Monticello's iconic facade surfaces at a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, the bidding room goes absolutely electric. Now here is the detail that makes even veteran collectors drop their loops in disbelief. The full steps designation, awarded by PCGS and NGC only, to nickels displaying 5 or 6 complete, uninterrupted steps on the Monticello reverse, is so brutally difficult to achieve on 1948 coinage that out of the hundreds of thousands of coins submitted for grading, only a microscopic fraction earn that coveted FS label, and when they do, the population reports reveal numbers so staggeringly low that you have to read them twice. We are talking single-digit or low double-digit survivors in the very highest grades. Coins so pristine they look like they teleported directly from the mint press into a hermetically sealed vault, never once touching a human palm or rattling against another coin in a bag. And those specimens, those MS66Fs and MS67Fs, have hammered for prices that leave casual observers speechless and serious. Collectors scrambling to readjust their entire acquisition strategy. But the 1948 Jefferson nickel story does not end with mint marks and full steps. Oh no, because lurking within the population of circulated and mint state examples are die varieties and repunts mint marks, that sends specialist collectors into a collector's paradise of obsessive searching. With varieties cataloged in the cherry picker's guide commanding premiums that dwarf the base coin values by factors that seem almost surreal. And the thrill of the hunt, that electric, heart-pounding moment when you flip a coin under a loop and suddenly realize you are holding something the previous owner never recognized. A variety that could be worth 5, 10, or even 20 times what you paid is the reason why Jefferson nickel specialists talk about 1948 with the reverence usually reserved for legendary rarities like the 1916D Mercury dime or the 1950D Jefferson nickel itself. Speaking of condition sensitivity, the 1948P in grades below MS64 trades for just a few dollars. But the moment you crack into the MS65 tier, prices begin climbing aggressively, and in MS66 the coin becomes genuinely scarce, while MS67 examples are the kind of coins that appear maybe once or twice a year at major auction events, coins that dealers quietly whisper about before the sale. Coins that collectors have been stalking for years, waiting for their chance to acquire. And when that hammer falls and the final price flashes on the screen, the entire room goes hushed with a mixture of awe and envy because everyone present knows they just witnessed something extraordinary. A perfect survivor from one of the most historically charged years in all of American history. Finally finding its rightful home in a collection worthy of its magnificence, era coins from 1948 AD, yet another explosive dimension to this already sensational series. Coins struck off air coins with die caps, doubled die varieties, and the kinds of minting anomalies that the mint's quality control of that era occasionally allowed to escape into circulation, creating accidental rarities that now command prices in the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and drama of the error. And the shocking truth is that these coins passed through countless hands for decades, spent as ordinary nickels on candy bars and bus fares, completely unrecognized for the treasures they truly were. Until a sharp-eyed collector or dealer finally caught the anomaly and realized with a rush of pure adrenaline that something extraordinary had been hiding in plain sight all along. The grading services PCGS and NGC have been absolutely pivotal in transforming the 1948 Jefferson nickel market. Before third-party grading arrived and standardized the evaluation process, buyers and sellers argued endlessly over grades, cocoon design, and authenticity. But today, a PCGS or NGC certified 1948 SNMS 66 full steps represents a universally recognized benchmark of quality, a coin whose grade and authenticity are beyond dispute. And that certainty has unleashed a flood of collector confidence that has driven prices upward in ways that would have seemed fantastical to nickel collectors of just a generation ago. With the certified population data creating a thrillingly transparent market where every serious buyer knows exactly how rare their target coin truly is and can track comparable auction results to understand precisely what the market will bear. Now, if you are sitting at home right now wondering whether you might have a 1948 Jefferson nickel hidden in an old collection, a jar of change, or a dusty album inherited from a grandparent, here is your urgent call to action. Grab that coin. Examine the mint mark, just to the right of Monticello on the reverse. Check those steps with the most powerful loop you own. Look for any doubling on the obverse legends. And if what you see gets your heart racing even slightly, do not wait another day to submit that coin for professional grading, because the window of opportunity in this market is not going to stay open forever. Prices are moving, collector awareness is surging, and the 1948 Jefferson nickel in top condition is one of those coins that experienced numismatists quietly accumulate. Whenever examples surface because they understand something, the casual observer has not yet figured out that this unassuming post-war 5-cent piece is one of the most undervalued, underappreciated, and shockingly collectible coins in the entire Jefferson nickel series. And the collectors who act now rather than later are the ones who will look back years from now and say, with absolute certainty, that recognizing the Jefferson nickel for the treasure it truly is was one of the smartest decisions they ever made in a lifetime of collecting. If you found this video as electrifying as we did putting it together, smash that like button right now. Drop your 1948 nickel stories in the comments below. We read every single one. Subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another episode where we uncover the hidden fortunes lurking inside America's most fascinating coins. And we will see you in the next one. Asterisk if you own a 1948 Jefferson nickel and want top dollar. Stop right there. Do not sell it raw. Do not take it to a pawn shop. And do not let anyone lowball you until you do these 3 things. First, grab that coin and check for the S-mint mark on the reverse right of Monticello, because a 1948 in high grade is worth dramatically more than its Philadelphia or Denver counterparts. Second, examine those Monticello steps under a loupe. If you see 5 or 6 clean, fully struck steps with no wear, that full steps coin could multiply in value by 10 times or more over a non-FS example. And at that point, your absolute must-do is submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. Because a certified MS-66 full steps 1948 TS has hammered thousands of dollars at Heritage auctions and stacks, Bowers, while the same coin sold raw across a dealer's counter might fetch you a fraction of that, the slab is your proof, your protection, and your profit multiplier. So get it graded. List it with a major auction house or on a high-traffic platform like eBay with full certification details front and center. Set a strong reserve. Let serious collectors compete for it and watch what happens when the right buyer meets the right coin at the right time. Ladies and gentlemen, coin collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone who has ever rummaged through a forgotten jar of old change, brace yourselves. Because today, we are diving deep into one of the most electrifying, jaw-dropping, and shockingly undervalued coins in the entire history of American numismatics, the 1952 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that has been hiding staggering secrets and explosive auction values right under the noses of unsuspecting collectors for over 7 decades. And if you think this is just another ordinary wartime relic sitting quietly in a dusty album, you are about to have your mind absolutely blown wide open. The Jefferson nickel series itself was born in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel in what was considered one of the most controversial design transitions in United States mint history, with German-born sculptor Felix Schlag winning a national competition to immortalize Thomas Jefferson's stately portrait on the obverse and his magnificent Monticello estate on the reverse, a design so powerful, so enduring, that it has survived on American coinage for nearly 90 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. mint history. And yet, despite this legendary longevity, collectors and investors consistently overlook the jaw-dropping potential buried within specific dates and mint marks of this series. Particularly the scandalously overlooked 1952 issue, which produced coins across 3 different facilities: the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, the Denver Mint bearing a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint stamping its coins with a proud S. And the combined mintage figures for 1952 are nothing short of staggering, with Philadelphia alone churning out an almost incomprehensible 63,988,000 nickels, Denver adding another 30,638,000 to the national supply, and San Francisco contributing a relatively restrained 20,572,000 coins that would go on to command the most ferocious collector demand of any 1952 dated issue. Because, here is the terrifying truth that most casual hobbyists have no idea about. Mintage numbers mean absolutely nothing. 0. Without factoring in survival rates and the catastrophically destructive power of circulation, and the brutal reality is that the vast majority of those tens of millions of 1952 Jefferson nickels were spent worn down to smooth, lifeless discs, melted, lost, or simply discarded over the course of the following decades, leaving only a tiny, precious fraction of the original mintage in grades high enough to make serious collectors and deep-pocketed investors sit up straight and reach for their checkbooks with trembling hands. Because when we talk about the 1952's Jefferson nickel, in gem uncirculated condition, graded MS-65 by either PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, 2 organizations whose certified slabs have become the gold standard and the absolute benchmark of trustworthiness in the coin collecting world. We are talking about a coin that can shock even veteran numismatists, with its price tag routinely commanding figures in the range of hundreds of dollars and full steps designation. And if you have never heard that term before, prepare to be educated, because full steps abbreviated FS refers to the crisp, razor-sharp delineation of the 5 or 6 steps leading up to the portico of Monticello on the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, and achieving that designation is so extraordinarily difficult due to chronic weak striking issues at all 3 mints during this era that a fully struck blazing gem 1952 Jefferson nickel with certified full steps is not merely a coin, it is a numismatic miracle, a 1 in a million, survivor of the merciless machinery of the United States Mint. And Heritage Auctions, the world's largest numismatic auction house, headquartered in Dallas, Texas, has recorded electrifying realized prices for top-up 1952 Jefferson nickels in full steps, grades that would make any skeptic's jaw drop to the floor, with stacks, Bowers, galleries. Another titan of the auction world, with a history stretching back generations. Similarly, achieving remarkable hammer prices for these deceptively powerful little 5-cent pieces when presented in their finest certified states. And the reason why these auction results continue to climb year after year is rooted in the iron law of supply and demand. Because as the population of advanced collectors with substantial budgets grows globally, and as registries set competition, the fierce, obsessive pursuit by collectors to own the single finest known example of every date, mint, mark, and variety in a given series becomes ever more intense and cutthroat. The handful of coins that occupy the very pinnacle of the PCGS and NGC population reports become essentially priceless, trophies fought over at auction with a ferocity that mirrors the bidding wars for fine art and vintage wine. And speaking of varieties, the 1952 Jefferson nickel landscape is not without its own thrilling die varieties and repunched mint marks that send dedicated variety hunters into a frenzy of excitement. With resources like the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties, double die obverses, repunched, mint marks, and other fascinating anomalies that can transform what appears to be an ordinary circulated coin found in pocket change into a genuinely scarce variety worth multiples of its plain counterpart. And this is precisely why serious collectors never, and we mean never, evaluate a Jefferson nickel without examining it carefully under magnification. Because the difference between a common coin worth a few dollars and a rare die variety worth hundreds can be invisible to the naked eye, but devastatingly obvious under a quality loupe or stereo microscope. And the historical context surrounding the 1952 Jefferson nickel only amplifies its fascination. Because these coins were struck in the shadow of the Korean War, a time of immense national anxiety and sacrifice when American soldiers were fighting and dying on the other side of the world, while the home front hummed with post-war economic energy and Cold War tension, meaning that every 1952 Jefferson nickel that changed hands in a candy store, a gas station, a diner, or a 5-and-dime shop was a tiny 5-cent witness to one of the most dramatic chapters in American history. And that kind of historical resonance, the ability to hold a piece of metal that circulated through the hands of ordinary Americans living through extraordinary times, is something that no modern commemorative, no-clad issue, no digitally designed coin can ever replicate or replace, which is why the romance of classic United States coinage from the mid-20th century continues to captivate collectors of all ages and all budgets. From the beginner who just pulled their first Jefferson nickel out of a coin roll to the seasoned professional who tracks population reports and auction archives with the dedication of a scholar. And if you are just starting your journey into Jefferson nickel collecting, the single most important piece of advice any expert will give you is to educate yourself ruthlessly and relentlessly. To study the PCGS Coinfax and NGC Coin Explorer databases until you can identify die varieties in your sleep. To attend major coin shows like the American Numismatic Association's World's Fair of Money, where genuine market experts share knowledge freely and where certified coins can be examined in hand before purchase. And above all, to remember that, in this hobby, knowledge is quite literally money. Because the collector who understands exactly what they are holding will always come out ahead of the collector who buys and sells based on gut feeling alone. So whether you own a circulated 1952 Jefferson nickel worth $1 or $2, a stunning PCGS MS66 full steps example worth several hundred, or you are just now learning that this humble 5-cent coin from over 70 years ago carries secrets and values that would stagger your imagination. The most important thing you can do right now is hit that subscribe button. Smash the notification bell so you never miss a single episode of our deep dive numismatic investigations. Leave a comment below telling us whether you have a 1952 Jefferson nickel hiding somewhere in your collection. And share this video with every coin collector you know. Because the education we share here is the kind of knowledge that has the power to turn an ordinary afternoon of coin hunting into the discovery of a lifetime. What if I told you that hiding somewhere in an old coin jar, a forgotten drawer, or a dusty shoebox passed down through your family, there could be a small, unassuming 5-cent piece, a 1956 Jefferson nickel, that is quietly worth hundreds, or in the most breathtaking cases, thousands of dollars, to the right collector. And the shocking truth is that most people have absolutely no idea they might be sitting on a hidden fortune right now. The 1956 Jefferson nickel is one of the most electrifying, deeply misunderstood, and wildly underestimated coins in all of American numismatic history. A coin that looks completely ordinary on the surface but conceals secrets, varieties, and jaw-dropping values that have sent serious collectors into a frenzy for decades. And today we are going to pull back the curtain on everything: the explosive history, the staggering rarity, the heart-pounding auction results, and the precise details that separate a common pocket change nickel worth a handful of cents from a certified elite-grade specimen that commands eye-watering prices at the world's most prestigious auction houses, including Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. The story begins in 1938, when Felix Schlag's iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson first graced the obverse of the American nickel. replacing the legendary Buffalo nickel and launching one of the longest-running and most beloved coin series in the United States history, and by 1956, the Jefferson nickel had settled into a production rhythm at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with Philadelphia striking a staggering 35,216,000 business strike nickels bearing no mint mark, and Denver producing an equally massive 67,222,940 coins carrying the proud D mint mark on the reverse numbers that, on paper, suggest these coins are common, plentiful, and barely worth a second glance. But here's where the story takes a thrilling and unexpected turn that will completely change the way you look at this coin forever. The key to understanding the explosive value of the 1956 Jefferson nickel is not just the coin itself, it is the condition, the grade, the strike quality, and the presence of full steps, a designation so coveted, so rare, and so pursued by top-tier collectors that it transforms an otherwise ordinary coin into a numismatic trophy that wealthy buyers will battle ferociously to acquire at auction. Full steps, designated as FS by PCGS and NGC, the two most trusted and authoritative grading services on the planet, refers to the razor-sharp, fully defined, unbroken, horizontal steps on Monticello's iconic staircase, on the reverse of the coin, a detail that sounds simple but was notoriously difficult to strike properly in 1956 due to worn dies, insufficient striking pressure, and the sheer relentless volume of coins being churned out by mint machinery operating at full industrial capacity, which means that fully struck, pristine, eye-catching 1956 Jefferson nickels with crisp full steps in the highest grades are genuinely, breathtakingly rare survivors of a manufacturing process that worked actively against their creation. When PCGS or NGC slabs a 1956 Jefferson nickel in MS66 full steps or the almost mythical MS67 full steps, the numismatic world takes notice in a dramatic way, because population reports from these services revealed devastatingly low numbers of coins that have achieved these elite designations. We are talking about a handful of coins at the very top of the condition census that represent the absolute pinnacle of what was struck that year. And when one of these extraordinary coins surfaces at auction, the bidding war that erupts is nothing short of spectacular. Heritage Auctions, the world's largest numismatic auction house, has recorded sales of top-grade 1956 Jefferson nickels with full steps designations that have stunned even seasoned collectors. Examples in MS66 full steps have crossed the auction block for prices ranging from several $100s into the low thousands, and the rarest finest known MS67 full step specimens have the potential to command prices that would leave most people completely speechless. Figures that represent an almost incomprehensible return on a 5-cent investment. And it is this, the explosive gap between face value and true numismatic worth, that makes the 1956 Jefferson nickel one of the most electrifying targets in the modern coin collecting hobby. Beyond the full steps drama, there are also remarkable proof coins from 1956 to consider. Picus. The Philadelphia Mint struck 669,384 proof Jefferson nickels that year with mirror-like surfaces, cameo contrast between frosted devices and brilliant fields, and the kind of stunning visual impact that stops collectors dead in their tracks. These proof coins, particularly those designated Deep Cameo or Ultra Cameo by PCGS and NGC respectively, are highly sought after by registry set builders and proof specialists who understand that a flawless gem-quality 1956 Proof 68 Deep Cameo Jefferson nickel is an incredibly scarce and desirable coin that represents the very best of what the United States Mint was capable of producing at that moment in American history. The collector community surrounding the Jefferson nickel series is passionate, highly knowledgeable, and intensely competitive, with dedicated collectors, like those participating in the Jefferson nickel registry sets on PCGS and NGC, constantly hunting for upgrades, chasing population 1 coins, and spending years of their collecting lives searching for that one perfect example that will cement their place at the top of the competitive registry rankings. And the 1956 Jefferson nickel sits squarely in the crosshairs of this intense collector competition because its full steps coins are rare enough to be genuinely exciting and challenging to find, yet attainable enough for advanced collectors to realistically aspire to owning a top-grade example. What should you actually look for if you believe you might have a 1956 Jefferson nickel worth serious money? First, examine the reverse of the coin under strong raking light and look carefully at the steps of Monticello. A full steps coin will show 5 or 6 complete, unbroken, horizontal steps with sharp, crisp definition and no flatness, weakness, or merging in the step detail. And if those steps look sharp and bold rather than soft and mushy, you may be holding something genuinely extraordinary. Next, assess the overall condition of the coin. Look for blazing original luster that seems to radiate from the coin's surface, freedom from any postment damage, bag marks, or contact marks, and sharp, complete definition across every design element from Jefferson's portrait to Monticello's architectural details. If your coin looks exceptional, do not clean it, do not wipe it, do not touch the surfaces with your bare fingers. Contact, contamination, and cleaning are the two great destroyers of numismatic value, capable of turning a potentially valuable coin into a problem coin that no serious collector will touch at any price. Instead, place the coin carefully in a protective flip or holder and send it to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Because the difference between a raw, ungraded coin and a certified slab specimen in an elite grade with full steps is not merely a matter of presentation. It is often the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and a coin worth a life-changing sum of money that collectors and investors will aggressively compete to acquire. The 1956 Jefferson nickel is living proof that the most shocking treasures in American numismatics are not always the flashiest, rarest, or most famous coins. Sometimes they are the humble, overlooked 5-cent pieces that sat unnoticed in collections for 60, 70 years, waiting patiently for a knowledgeable collector to recognize their true staggering worth. And if this video has opened your eyes to the hidden potential of this incredible coin, then do us a favor right now. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another video that could help you discover the treasure hiding in plain sight. And drop a comment below telling us whether you have ever found a 1956 Jefferson nickel in your collection, because your story might be the most exciting one we have ever heard. Asterisk. If you are holding a 1956 Jefferson nickel and you want to squeeze every single dollar of value out of it, then stop whatever you are doing and watch this right now. Because the difference between selling this coin the wrong way and selling it the right way could literally mean the difference between getting 50 cents and getting $500 or more. And the very first and most critical rule is this: never, ever clean your coin. Never wipe it, never polish it. Because a cleaned coin loses up to 90% of its collector value instantly, and no serious buyer at heritage auctions, Stacks, Bowers, or any reputable platform will pay top dollar for a coin that has been tampered with, so handle it only by the edges, store it in a protective flip immediately, and treat it like the potentially valuable treasure it truly is. Before you list it anywhere or accept any offer, spend the $15 to $30 it costs to submit your coin to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. Because a certified, slabbed 1956 Jefferson nickel in MS65, MS66, or the Holy Grail, any grade with a full steps designation will sell for dramatically more than a raw, ungraded coin. And that small grading investment could multiply your return by 10 times or more when serious collectors see that trusted, tamper-evident slab with an elite grade on it. Once graded, your three most powerful selling platforms are heritage auctions for maximum competitive bidding from the wealthiest coin collectors in the world, eBay for reaching millions of buyers globally. What if I told you that sitting in a dusty old coin jar, buried inside a forgotten drawer, or hiding in plain sight inside a used lot you grabbed for pocket change, there is a coin so breathtakingly rare, so devastatingly valuable, and so sought after that seasoned collectors have been known to tremble the moment they lay eyes on it? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the jaw-dropping, pulse-pounding, absolutely mind-blowing world of the 1958 Jefferson nickel, one of the most shockingly underestimated and dangerously overlooked coins in the entire history of American numismatics. A 5-cent piece that on the surface looks completely ordinary, completely unremarkable, completely dismissible. But beneath that deceptively humble exterior lies a story of vanishingly low mintage numbers, heart-stopping error varieties, grading tier secrets that can turn a pocket change coin into a 4-figure windfall overnight, and auction results so staggering they will make your jaw hit the floor. So buckle up, because today we are pulling back the curtain on every single thing you absolutely must know about this 1958 Jefferson nickel before you dare walk past one without a second glance. The 1958 Jefferson nickel was struck at two United States mint facilities, the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins bearing no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which struck its coins with the iconic D mint mark positioned to the right of Monticello on the coin's reverse. And while neither issue is by any stretch of the imagination a common date in high-grade certified examples, it is the specific combination of production realities, quality control failures, and the brutal economics of survival rates across nearly 7 decades that transforms these coins from simple relics of Eisenhower America into ferociously contested trophies of the numismatic world. Coins at top-tier collectors at heritage auctions and stacks, Bowers will fight tooth and nail to acquire when they surface in pristine, fully original, problem-free condition. The Philadelphia issue alone produced approximately 17,088,000 examples, a number that sounds large until you realize that the overwhelming majority of those coins were spent, lost, melted, damaged, cleaned, or otherwise destroyed across the subsequent decades, leaving a survival pool of high-grade specimens so shockingly small that PCGS and NGC combined have certified only a tiny fraction of the original mintage in grades of MS65 full steps or better. The Holy Grail designation for Jefferson nickel collectors that requires razor-sharp, unimpeded, fully defined step lines on the reverse depiction of Thomas Jefferson's magnificent Monticello estate. A standard so demanding that even coins that look spectacular to the naked eye are mercilessly rejected by professional graders who can spot the faintest trace of weakness, contact marks, or die fatigue that obliterates the precious step detail and sends a coin's value plummeting from 4 figures back down to a few dollars in an instant. And here is where it gets absolutely explosive: the full steps designation on a 1958 Jefferson nickel is not merely a cosmetic upgrade. It is a complete transformation of the coin's identity, its market value, and its standing in the collecting community. Because a standard MS65 example of the 1958P might trade for somewhere in the range of $40 to $75 at major auction houses, a perfectly respectable premium over face value, but an MS65 full steps example of the very same coin, struck the very same year, at the very same mint, is a completely different animal. A coin that in recent heritage auctions, sales has shattered price expectations and hammered at prices well into the hundreds of dollars. While top-tier MS66 full steps and MS67 full steps, survivors coins of such extraordinary, almost impossible perfection that they represent literal 1 in a million survivorship, have reached auction results that would make your knees buckle. With certified register quality examples, trading hands among elite collectors for sums that'll remind every single viewer of this video that the difference between a coin worth 5 cents and a coin worth $500 might be nothing more than the depth of 6 tiny horizontal lines on the back of a nickel you might have thrown into a tip jar without a second thought. The Denver Mint issue of 1958 carries its own electrifying story. With a mintage of approximately 17,963,652 pieces, that mirrors its Philadelphia counterpart in terms of the brutal scarcity of high-grade survivors. And the 1958D Jefferson nickel in grades of MS66 full steps or above is, bluntly speaking, a coin that makes experienced numismatists stop breathing for a moment when they encounter it in a raw, original, unclean state, because the die quality and strike consistency at the Denver Mint in 1958 was notoriously uneven, meaning that many coins emerged from the dies already lacking the crisp, complete step definition that modern collectors demand, making truly exceptional Denver examples arguably even more electrifyingly difficult to locate than their Philadelphia counterparts, a supply and demand reality that absolutely detonates the value of any 1958D. That clears the full steps threshold in the highest mint state grades. Now, beyond the standard business strikes, there's another weapon in the 1958 Jefferson nickel's arsenal that absolutely cannot be ignored. The proof issue struck at the Philadelphia Mint for collectors, with a reported mintage of approximately 875,650 to proof sets produced that year, each containing a brilliant, mirror-like proof Jefferson nickel struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets and intended from the moment of its creation to be preserved and cherished rather than circulated. And while proof coinage by definition enjoys a much higher survival rate than business strikes, the 1958 proof Jefferson nickel in grades of PR68 Deep Cameo or PR69 Deep Cameo, the designations that demand the most extreme contrast between frosted devices and mirror-like fields, are documented by PCGs and NGC population reports to be devastatingly rare. Coins that represent the absolute pinnacle of what mid-20th century United States mint craftsmanship was capable of producing. And when these ultraviolet survivors appear at heritage auctions or Stack's Bowers, the bidding is savage, relentless, and deeply personal among the elite collectors who understand exactly what they are looking at, and exactly what it costs to add such a coin to a world-class registry set. But wait, because we have not even touched the most explosively collectible segment of the 1958 Jefferson nickel story: the error coins, the die varieties, and the striking anomalies that transform already valuable coins into absolute nuclear warheads, the kind of discovery coins that rewrite the fortunes of the people lucky or knowledgeable enough to recognize them for what they are. Among the most avidly hunted varieties within the 1958 Jefferson nickel series are doubled die obverses and reverses. Coins where misalignment during the hubbing process created a ghostly, doubled image, visible in the date, the lettering, or the portrait of Thomas Jefferson himself, and while these varieties range from subtle to dramatic, the most pronounced and clearly attributable examples command premiums that dwarf the values of normal coins, with top-tier attributed double-die examples documented in auction archives at prices that prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that the era coin market is not a fringe curiosity but a ferociously mainstream collecting discipline pursued by thousands of passionate numismatists who will pay extraordinary sums for the right coin at the right grade with the right attribution. There are also repunged mint mark varieties on the 1958D issue. Coins where the mint mark was struck into the working die more than once at a slightly different angle or position, creating a visibly doubled or displaced D that trained eyes can identify and that certified population data confirms to be dramatically scarcer than normal examples. The kind of variety that a casual coin handler would dismiss in a heartbeat, but that a sharp-eyed collector with a loupe and a copy of the Cherry Picker's Guide would recognize instantly as a coin worth dramatically more than its face value. A 5-cent piece, masquerading as a life-changing find hiding in plain sight. To truly appreciate just how seismically valuable the rarest 1958 Jefferson nickels have become in the modern certified coin market, consider the auction record landscape that top numismatic firms have assembled over the past decade. PCGS-graded MS67 full steps examples of the 1958P have appeared in Heritage auctions, results commanding prices that put this humble 5-cent coin in the company of far more celebrated American rarities. While NGC-certified PR69 deep cameo-proof examples have drawn competitive floor bids and phone bids and internet bids from collectors around the entire globe who understand that coins of this caliber, in this condition, with this level of documented certification from the world's to most respected third-party grading services, do not come to market often, and when they do, the auction room becomes a battlefield, a gladiatorial arena where serious money changes hands and legends of the hobby are made. Where the 5-cent coin your grandfather might have jingled in his pocket becomes the centerpiece of a world-class collection worth more than most people's automobiles. So here is the earth-shattering bottom line that every viewer of this video needs to burn into their memory before they ever touch another Jefferson nickel again. The 1958 issue, in all its varieties and grades, represents one of the most thrillingly dynamic collecting opportunities within the mid-century Jefferson nickel series. What if I told you that hiding somewhere in ordinary pocket change, perhaps in a dusty jar on your shelf, in a forgotten drawer, or tucked inside a coin album your grandfather left behind, there exists a 1973 Jefferson nickel, so shockingly rare, so breathtakingly valuable, and so explosively sought after by the most obsessed collectors and elite auction houses on the planet, that a single specimen has sold for figures that would make your jaw drop to the floor. And the truly part is that most people have already thrown one away without ever knowing what they had. The 1973 Jefferson nickel, struck at 3 United States mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, represents one of the most deceptively dangerous coins in all of American numismatics, because on the surface it looks like nothing more than a plain, unremarkable 5-cent piece bearing the distinguished profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the iconic Monticello estate on the reverse. A design that has graced American nickels since 1938, when the legendary Felix Schlag won a national design competition and changed the face of U.S. coinage forever. Yet beneath that ordinary exterior lies a world of jaw-dropping rarity, catastrophic minting errors, and heart-pounding collector demand that has transformed certain 1973 nickels into absolute legends of the numismatic world. The Philadelphia Mint produced an absolutely staggering 384,396,000 business strike nickels in 1973, nearly 400 million coins, which sounds like it should make the 1973P utterly worthless. And in circulated condition, you would be absolutely right. But here is where the story takes its first shocking twist. The San Francisco Mint, always the wild card of American coinage, struck just 2,760,339 proof nickels in 1973 exclusively for collectors. And these mirror-like cameo-frosted gems, with their razor-sharp details and explosive visual contrast between the frosted devices and the deep, glass-like fields, have become some of the most aggressively pursued proof coins of the entire modern era. With a perfect PCGS or NGC-graded PR70 deep cameo specimen, the absolute pinnacle of the grading scale, a coin so flawless that professional numismatists have to use magnification just to verify that not a single microscopic contact mark, hairline, or imperfection mars its breathtaking surface, commanding prices at heritage auctions and stacks bowers that leave casual observers completely stunned. Because when a coin achieves that mythical perfect 70 grade demand from registry set collectors competing to assemble the finest known sets, becomes so ferociously intense that bidding wars erupt and prices explode into territory that seems almost unreal for a coin that started life as 5 cents. But wait, because the real earthquake in the 1973 Jefferson nickel story, the discovery that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic community and made error coin specialists lose sleep with excitement, is the terrifying world of mint error varieties that transform certain 1973 nickels from ordinary coins into certified and professionally authenticated pieces of history worth hundreds or even thousands of times their face value. And the most dangerous and electrifying of these errors is the double die variety, a catastrophic minting mistake that occurs when the working die receives multiple impressions from the hub at slightly different angles, creating a coin where you can see visible doubling in the lettering, the date, or the design details that screams to any educated collector that something extraordinary and deeply unusual happened during the minting process. And when one of these verified double die 1973 nickels surfaces at a major auction, the bidding room goes absolutely electric, phones light up from coast to coast, and the gavel comes down at prices that remind everyone in the room exactly why. Error coins are the most explosively valuable segment of the entire coin collecting market. The full steps designation represents another devastating knife through the heart of casual collectors who thought they understood the 1973 Jefferson nickel. You see, on a standard circulated 1973 nickel, the steps of Monticello on the reverse are almost always weak, flat, and incomplete because the design requires extraordinary striking pressure and perfectly prepared planchets to fully bring up all 5 or 6 steps in crisp, defined detail. And when PCGs or NGC certifies a 1973 nickel as 5 full steps, or the even rarer 6 full steps, that coin immediately enters a completely different universe of value. Because full steps Jefferson nickels are so statistically rare across the entire series that registry collectors, advanced numismatists, and serious investors treat them with the same reverence and desperate acquisition energy normally reserved for genuinely scarce ski dates, with Hygrit full steps examples routinely appearing at heritage auctions where the bidding climbs to levels that would have seemed absolutely preposterous just a decade ago, proving beyond any doubt that condition rarity in this series is as powerful and as financially explosive as actual mintage rarity in other series. Consider for a moment what it means when numismatic experts talk about the population report, that chilling, definitive database maintained by PCGS and NGC that tracks every single coin ever submitted for professional grading and authentication. Because when you look up 1973 Jefferson nickels in the very highest grades, particularly those graded MS67 or above with full steps, the population numbers are terrifyingly small, sometimes in the single digits or low double digits for the absolute finest known specimens. Which means that if you happen to own one of these coins, if by some extraordinary stroke of fate or inherited wisdom, you are sitting on a 1973 nickel that grades out at the very top of the population, you own something that no amount of money can simply replace. Because there are only a handful of them in existence, and the collectors who need them to complete their sets or claim the top registry position will pay virtually anything to get their hands on it. And that is not hyperbole. That is the documented, verifiable, auction-recorded reality of this market. The Denver Mint added its own chapter to the 1973 Jefferson nickel story by striking 261,405,000 coins bearing the D Mint mark on the obverse near the date. A production number slightly lower than Philadelphia, but still massive by any reasonable standard. Yet within that quarter-billion coin production run, there exists individual 197.3D nickels that beat every statistical lot, and emerged from the production process with such extraordinary striking quality, such perfect planchet preparation, and such exceptional die quality that they came out looking like proof coins accidentally released into circulation. And these exceptional business strikes, when certified by PCGS or NGC, in grades like MS66 or MS67, full steps, become the subjects of frantic bidding at the most prestigious coin auctions in the world, with Stax, Bowers, and Heritage auctions both having recorded sales of premium 197.3D full steps nickels that left even veteran dealers shaking their heads at just how hungry the market truly is for top-quality examples of this supposedly common date. What makes the 1973 Jefferson nickel story even more vertigo-inducing is the psychological trap it sets for the uninformed, because unlike a 1950D nickel, where the low mintage is immediately obvious and every coin person in the world knows to look carefully, the 1973 nickel lulls you into complacency with its massive production numbers, making you certain there is nothing interesting to find, which is precisely why so many extraordinary specimens have been spent, lost, melted, and discarded over the decades by people who simply did not know to look, and this ongoing destruction of the supply is paradoxically one of the most powerful forces driving prices higher year after year, because every gem 1973 nickel that disappears from the market forever tightens the already strangling grip of scarcity around those that remain in certified holders in private collections and auction company vaults. The auction record trail for 1973 Jefferson nickels tells a story of relentless upward pressure on the finest known examples. Heritage Auctions, the world's largest numismatic auction house, with billions of dollars in annual coin sales, has recorded multiple instances of 1973 nickels in the absolute finest, certified grades, achieving prices that stun newcomers to the hobby and remind veterans that this market never stops rewarding those with the knowledge and patience to find the best coins. And when you combine that auction pressure with the intense competition among registry set collectors, who are essentially playing a very high-stakes game of who has the best coin in America, you get a market dynamic where a single 1973 Jefferson nickel in the right grade with the right designation at the right auction can become the most talked about lot of the entire sale. If you are watching this video right now and you collect Jefferson nickels, or if you are brand new to coin collecting and trying to understand where the real hidden value lies in this series, then the lesson of the 1973 Jefferson nickel is one of the most important and potentially profitable lessons you will ever learn in this hobby, because it teaches you that rarity is not always printed on the surface of a coin in the form of a low mintage number, that some of the most electrifying and valuable coins in American numismatics are hiding in dates that the uninformed world has written off as worthless.